everybody. Welcome to the Hallmarkies podcast. And we're excited today. We have a bonus episode where we are talking about one of the Lifetime movies. And I really wanted to get my guest, Haley Strong, on the pod this holiday season. And when I saw that there was one involving a reality cooking show contest, I was like, this is perfect. We got to have her on. And so, Haley, thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
It's a thrill per usual. I love that you always tailor these things to my personal and very specific interests.
Yes.
So when I did, I think I just saw the title of this and I was like, yeah, I'm in. Like, I don't even have to know anything else. I'm in on this.
Yeah. Well, I feel such a
cooking
relief.
reality could not. I love it.
Well, I feel such a relief because this is one that I actually don't feel embarrassed to have you watch. Like, this is actually a pretty good.
Yeah, that was one thing I noticed was that the production quality was incredible.
Yeah.
I'd say compared to some of the ones I've seen.
Yeah.
The acting for most people was pretty stellar.
Yeah.
I would say I would have to say quality wise, this was the best movie you have forced me to watch.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I always feel bad because I'm like, you watch like 4 movies a year, and I
watch like 8 movies a year,
so many of those
and then
slots.
4 of them are ones that you're like, you into this? I'm like, all right, let's go.
Yes. Well, how have you been? It's been a little while since we last chatted.
I know. I feel like it was like last month, but I also think it was way earlier this year.
Yeah.
I've been good. It's been a busy year, and it's good and bad, but mostly good to stay busy. But gosh, this year has gone by so fast.
Yeah, last time we talked was in June. We talked about Farmer Seeking Love, which was fun. Yeah,
that was. And then I don't know if we talked about it, but then there was like a Canadian reality show that was almost that exact premise going on at the same time. I have yet to watch that. I think I will get there eventually.
Yeah, Farmer Loves Wife, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, that sounded pretty good.
Something like that. Yeah. So I'll have to get into that. But
I have been extremely lacking in my reality TV viewing. I've just been so busy. About the only thing that I've watched is various stuff on the Food Network, and I watched Top Chef. And I thought, especially since we're talking about a food movie, that maybe we talk about that a little bit, because there's lots of stuff going on in the Top Chef world. We've got Padma leaving. We've got Kristen coming in. How do you feel?
I'm definitely sad about Padma leaving. I think she's such a staple, and I think she personally has been able to help the show transition into like a wonderful and welcoming environment that was definitely not there in the early seasons. But if anyone had to replace her, I would have absolutely chosen Kristen Kish to do so. I think she's incredibly talented, obviously. She does have some TV hosting experience. What did she do? The Iron Chef reboot on Netflix, I think she did.
Okay. And yeah, I was just glad that they didn't pick someone like Richard Blais.
Yeah, I was like Kristen was my number one pick, and I was really thrilled when she was announced. And then the seasons in Wisconsin, which was not on my bingo board, but I've gotten a lot of actually Wisconsin TikTok this like past year about like Wisconsin supper clubs and all of this other stuff. So I am really excited to see what they do there.
Yeah, that should be interesting. That should be good. Well, how'd you feel about Buddha coming through, winning all stars?
I felt great about it. Like, it was just such a great season, and he's so talented. And I like that he is like clearly a reality TV fan too. Like, he knew how to play the game, which I think is often an overlooked part in Top Chef. So I like seeing something a little different like that.
Yeah. Well, and he just manages, even the stuff that they maybe don't respond to as well. It always looks really good to me. He manages to make food that is very camera friendly, almost always.
Yes. Yeah, but not camera friendly while forsaking actual taste and flavor.
Yeah. He's kind of like Voltaggio in that way. Michael
Yeah.
Voltaggio. I mean, they
Yeah.
both the Voltaggios.
Yeah.
Their food always looks so good to me
I do
whenever it's
also
around.
think that like once December is over and you find yourself with like 8 hours to spare,
Yeah.
I do think you'd like the season of Golden Bachelor.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I do
Yeah.
like it. It definitely, I feel like, revitalized a lot of people's interest in the franchise. It
Oh.
also, the episodes were only 1 hour long, which is,
Uh-huh.
it's hard to binge The Bachelor, Bachelor in Paradise, and any other season because the episodes are so long. But
Yeah.
I do think you would like it. So if you get around to rewatching one show from this fall season, I do think that should be it.
Yeah, yeah. The only other show that I watch is the well, I said Food Network, but the Kids Baking Championship is much a particular favorite. They
I can't
are
watch those because they're too talented and it makes me feel bad about myself. And then I cry too hard when they get eliminated.
they have like just the most amazing kids. They crush it in casting. I'm just like,
It's
wow,
wild.
how do they unbelievable. So charismatic, so great. And yeah, it's true. I do feel bad when they get eliminated. And especially, I mean, Valerie's so sweet with them and everything, but you know, when they get real upset because their cake's not rising or whatever, and I'm just like, oh honey, it's okay.
Although that is me. Like I made a friend she wanted a smash cake for her baby's first birthday.
Uh-huh.
And I literally was like, okay, I'm gonna use a box cake and like a jar of
Yeah.
icing. Just because like I'm like a pretty decent baker. Something
Right.
about cakes, like there's one cake recipe I have that it's like the only one that works for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, I'm not even gonna mess around with a homemade cake. I am just box cake. And
Yeah.
I still managed to make it was awful. It was bad. I cried making it, trying to put it together. Like it kept falling apart on me. Like it was a personal disaster.
Reminds me of I had a companion on my mission that she didn't like understand the fundamentals of like cooking or food. She would just like put everything and you're like, what are you making? And one time she was like, well, we didn't have she made this thing and it was like this thick pancake thing. And I was like, what is that? And and she was like, oh, we didn't have any eggs. So I figured, I'm like, you can't just eggs like that's like
Yeah, I don't understand the science of baking, but I believe in it. And
yeah.
if it tells me to do something, I am not deviating. I'm a
Right.
rule follower. It's telling me to do something for a reason, so I'm going to do it.
Yeah. So funny. It's like I'm never eating anything you make.
Mm-hmm.
It's gross. But yeah, so I mean I've just been so busy. Like I used it's so interesting because Survivor used to be such a big part of my life. Like it used to be
Mm-hmm.
kind of my friend group and everything I talked about, and I would listen to all the after shows and just everything. It's this huge part of my life. And I still support Rob because I just believe in him and I think he's amazing. But like that's pretty much my only time now. Survivor, I haven't watched it in like 3 or 4 seasons.
I would say
Uh
the new era has been tougher to watch. This season
yeah.
has been pretty decent.
Mm,
I will say that the casting for the last 4 seasons, or five
mm-hmm.
or whatever it's
Yeah.
been, has been pretty incredible.
Yeah.
It's just they're throwing a lot of stuff at the wall and seeing what
Mm-hmm.
sticks,
I think
which is a lot.
I think then like 90% of it is just I just have been so busy as a critic and as because I've also started working as a theater critic, so that's sort of taken up a lot of my evening time, and so that's most of it. But then also I do think that the shortened schedule and the Fiji and every place and the and some of the gimmicks where I feel like they really want certain people to win, and so it feels
Mhm.
a little bit frustrating. I think that that combination of all those things of why I just haven't watched lately, but I have heard good things about this season.
Yeah, I don't blame you. And it's interesting because I've had a couple of friends who have started watching Survivor for the first time in their lives within the last few seasons, and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
these are going to be your Hallmark seasons. Like that's pretty crazy.
Right.
And I'm like
Yeah.
trying to like push off my Pearl Islands DVDs on them. Be like,
Right.
maybe just watch this one, see
Yeah.
what you think.
Watch Token Cheese.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, but I was intrigued because I haven't watched Big Brother much, but I was just sort of following it just because of Suri. It seemed like it was a pretty good season of Big Brother.
I think I watched, this is what I do every season of Big Brother, and that is I will watch the first 3 to 4 weeks and
Mm-hmm.
then absolutely give up.
Yeah,
And
it's
again, this
so much.
season
It
I
takes
couldn't do it.
it's a lot. I mean, the only reason that I was interested in following it was because of Suri,
Mhm.
who I love and adore.
And
And I
I
was hoping
tried
that
for
she
her, I
would
really
win, but I
did.
guess she didn't.
No, but she was close. Like
Yeah. She's always
she
close.
she tried.
She's always
She was
close. She
right
always
there. Yeah.
tries. She even got lost one time and nobody even voted for her, which is brutal. She lost
Yeah.
Survivor one time with no one voting her off the island.
Ho, ho, ho! We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies Patreon.
Do you love Hallmarkies podcast, especially at Christmas?
Do you enjoy the holiday previews, recaps, interviews, and bonus episodes?
If the answer is yes, please consider supporting the Hallmarkies Patreon. We need your help to do what we do both during the Christmas season and all year round.
But not only do you help a podcast led by strong, independent women by becoming a Patreon, you get to become a part of the Hallmarkies family.
Starting at only $2 a month as a patron, you will have access to our Facebook Patreon group where we talk about the movies, shows, and more all year.
We also have many monthly patron watch-alongs with guests like Lacey Chabert, Natalie Hall, Paul Campbell, Mary Lou Henner, and more, giving their behind-the-scenes details of their films.
As a patron, you also have the chance to provide input into the podcast and even join us at different tiers.
So this Christmas season, spread some cheer to the Hallmarkies Patreon and become a member today. You won't regret it.
Go to patreon.com/hallmarkies to learn more.
That's patreon.com/Hallmarkies.
So that's your big recommendation is Golden Bachelor.
I really do think you'd like it. Like it has all of the charm that you would like from a Hallmark movie, like in a reality TV show.
All right, good. That's good. All right. Well, let's talk. We are talking about Yes Chef Christmas. And this is on Lifetime Channel. And this is director Max McGuire, writer Carly Smale, who I love and adore. She's made some of my favorites. Or she's written some of my favorites. And it stars Rebecca. Wait, that's wrong. It stars Tia Mowry, and they have it wrong on IMDb. Let me see.
They do. They have an interesting setup of first billing.
Yeah. So it stars Tia Mowry and Luke Humphrey. So the little summary is Alicia is a culinary school instructor who has put both her career aspirations and personal life on the back burner. But this holiday season, fate is on her side. She is invited to compete in the city's annual Kringle Cook-Off and learns a family secret that could change everything and be the big break she needs to become a respected chef like her former boss, Bobby. So there we go. Overall, you said this was the favorite of the ones that I've made you watch, but
this is I would say this is like the best one. My favorite is still the first one you ever made me watch.
Okay. Yeah.
Which
I love
like
you, Ryan Banks.
Yes.
Yeah.
Still my all-time favorite. But this one was like production-wise, I thought the story was good. I thought Tia Mowry was incredible.
Yeah.
Had a lovely surprise of Buddy Valastro. Was not expecting that and not expecting it to happen so often in the movie. I thought it was like when he first popped up, I was like, great, they got him for like this one scene, like how nice. And he just kept arriving, and I was like, all right. Even his wife popped up at one point. I was like, okay.
I was nervous. I was like, are we only going to get a Zoom? Is this going to be like a 2020 movie? And it wasn't. I was like, oh, good. We saw him.
Yeah, I was glad that he showed up. Yeah, it was nice.
Yeah. So it turns out she's like a teacher, and she's got all these. It starts with her having all this food from all her students. She's like grading. Her dad's a widower, and we learn that she's adopted, and that becomes like a big plot point. And yeah, that whole element of it, the adoption part of it. What'd you think of that?
It was unexpected, and I feel like it got in the way of the movie that I wanted.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. I was like, oh, we're going heavy on this and not the two leads kissing on the mouth,
Right.
which is what I wanted from this movie. Like I was pumped up for an enemies to lovers plot. Those are my favorite, and didn't quite get it quite as in depth as I wanted on that one.
And I don't know what it is about this year in TV movie making that everybody is thinking about adoption plots. And
oh, really?
Yeah. This is like in Birth Mothers, and there's been at least. Well, so Lacey Chabert was in one where she finds out she was secretly her mother was actually a like a Duchess, whatever, Scotland. Yeah. So she finds out she has this whole like family and backstory. And so that wasn't exactly adoption. But then there was another where Brendan Penny has a son that he hasn't told is adopted. And the son is 10. And then they find the son's, they find the actual brother. And anyway, so now he's like, what am I going to do? And
oh boy.
There was just a lot. There's just been a lot of that kind of drama. There was another one, Holiday Road, where the bunch of characters and one of them is a teen that's going to meet his birth mom, and everybody's just thinking about adoption like these days.
Yeah, that's interesting. But yeah, I do feel like it got in the way of the story I wanted here, which was Cook's kissing on the mouth. Like that is what I wanted. Like I wanted a little more arguing, I think. You know, I don't know. We could have we could have cut out that big chunk.
Yeah, it's like they sometimes get a little bit insecure about just being a rom-com. It's okay
for
to
sure.
just be a rom-com.
Like, I don't need to be taught any lessons. I don't. Like I just, again, I don't mean to like keep going at it, but I just want two chefs to kiss.
Yeah. Yes. And I was a little bit confused because it started out with this whole like wishes and the Christmas tokens and everything like that. And I was like, is this going to be there going to be a magic element to this?
Oh,
movie?
yeah.
And then it didn't really play out.
One you made me watch.
Which one?
The
paintbrush one. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Oh my god, I forgot about that until I literally just said it. Oh my god.
But so it starts out where he asks her if she can switch tables. She's there by herself. She does have her laptop. She's working on something. And I personally kind of thought she was being a brat. Like he asked very nicely. He has a big group. She's got a lot of space. And I don't know. I was just like, come on. Like it seemed like it did not seem like even if she decided not to do it, the way that she was acting like he was such a jerk and so is like, it seemed like a totally reasonable request that all of us have had those moments where it's like, oh, we have like a really big group, or we just really like the end table. We just really like the booth. And I guess if somebody asked me for that, because I'm usually a solo diner or often a solo diner, I would have no problem being like, sure, no problem. And she was acting like he was being such a brat. And I was just like, no, it's really not. He said, please.
Yeah. And he offered to like buy her a drink and, you know, like, thank you. And she was like, well, I need all the space because I'm marking. It's like, you have like a MacBook Air, which is the world's thinnest computer. You can't take that to the bar and just like tip tap type on there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you agree that she was being kind of
I do agree. Like, I feel like we could have got off on the wrong foot in a better way, if that makes sense.
I think the movie wanted us to sort of be judgy at him, and I was just kind of like, no.
Yeah, they wanted us to hate him. I did find him just a scooch bland. Like, I wanted a little more fire from him. Has he been in other movies
new
like this
to
before?
me? I haven't seen him much. I did think it was interesting because he's not like your typical leading man. He's a little like everyman kind of, but
which I really loved. And I loved that like they made a point to say that Alicia was 37. Like I thought it was cool that we're getting like somebody who's not freshly 25 in one of these movies.
Yeah. I did think he was really good at the arguing banter, like when they didn't like each other. I thought it was pretty funny. Yeah, it looks like he's done a ton of these, so way to go. And he's in the Priscilla movie, which I actually didn't like, but good job being a Sofia Coppola movie. And he's one called The Love Issue. Let me see this. Ooh, he's the lead. This looks good. We can watch this.
Yeah, I can't wait. Listen, I'm
Yeah.
looking at the movie poster.
The Love Issue. He was a new face to me, and I thought he was like surprisingly charming.
Yeah, I did like him. I wanted a little bit. I think I just wanted them to fight a little bit more, honestly.
I
Like,
did too.
I don't want them to give up that too easily.
Yeah, once they make up and get along, then it's way less fun.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
that's true.
We really focused on that.
Yeah.
But I like them.
She gets invited. They make this wish, and then she gets invited to the Kringle cook-off. And this is this big, I guess, event, and she is self-taught. They make a big deal of that in the movie, that she didn't go to culinary school, but she's like a teacher, so that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, and she's kind of like looking to get out of teaching and go back into working in a restaurant after an unknown traumatizing incident.
Yes.
So I was interested to see what that was going to turn out to be. But yeah, she got this invitation, so she's like, this could be it for me. Her dad, very supportive. Also, her neighbor. I thought it was very cute that they shared a duplex. Like,
yeah, that was
that's
cute.
a perfect level of, you're boundaries. Not living with me, but you're near enough.
Yeah. And so yeah, this was kind of like her invitation to Hogwarts. Like, it was very exciting.
Yeah,
to get this invitation.
Everybody knows what the Christmas Kringle cook-off is.
Yes.
Come on, Dad, where have you been?
Well, and they always did
he was a journalist, so like I feel like he would have heard about this.
Yeah. Well, and it's always so funny in these movies because nobody has anything that happens on Christmas Eve. Like, nothing. Like, there's no events that happen on Christmas Eve.
Well, especially like you can drop everything 2 weeks before or like before the holidays and be a part of this rigorous competition.
Yeah.
Because I think it was like September 6th or 7th that she got this invitation, or that's the day she was like marking or something. So it was a really quick turnaround.
It was quick. And she gets matched with Logan, and she's very upset because he was the one who had the nerve to ask her to change seats.
Crazy how that happened.
Yeah.
Also, she gets scouted for this competition because she volunteers in an old folks home, making them bang
senior
meals.
Center.
So when you see this guy, I mean, I don't know if you read the plot or what, like the press release along with it. I did not.
Yeah.
I went into this flying blind. That's it.
Yeah.
When this man appeared, I was like, well, obviously that's her adopted father, grandfather, whatever.
Grandfather,
like, that's her family. And I was not wrong.
No, it was pretty obvious. But yeah, he comes in, this guy William. He says that she needs a mentor and needs some direction in her life. And this is after their the first cooking moment between Logan and whatever her name. What's Tia's name? Alicia. So this is after the first cooking montage between Logan and Alicia, and he says that you cook generic food.
How
food.
Rude. I will give him the fact that her salmon did look a little dry.
Yeah. And she says, if this was Hogwarts, you'd be Snape. And then he says, Snape is the hero.
I feel differently about that plot point, but that's a different podcast.
I would say that I think that Snape had layers, but that doesn't mean he's a hero.
Yeah, he bullied children and got paid to do it. Like, what are we talking about here?
Yeah. You can have a rich character that has motivation. Yeah. That's good, but that doesn't absolve them from everything.
They're literal war crimes.
Right. We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's author Jennifer Snow and her book, A Lot Like Christmas. This Christmas season, in best-selling author Jennifer Snow's steamy rom-com, A Lot Like Christmas, love comes where you least expect it. For Jessica Connolly, there is no better place than her coastal hometown of Blue Moon Bay. She has a wonderful family, supportive best friends, and a successful bakery on Main Street. Unfortunately, every time she designs one of her ex-boyfriend's wedding cakes, she's reminded just how unlucky she is with love, and that she's a good luck charm for men to find their happily ever after with someone else the minute they break up. So she's decided to be done with love. Dr. Mitch Jameson is more comfortable traveling the world with Doctors Without Borders than staying in one place. He just needs to survive the holidays in his small hometown before he can leave again. The beautiful, intriguing bakery owner with an aversion to dating might be just who he needs to occupy his restless heart. From sipping hot chocolates at the local Festival of Lights to early morning dessert deliveries, Jessica and Mitch rediscover the spirit of the holidays. But when the 25 days of Christmas are over, will their romance be over too? Adapted as an UP-TV holiday movie, readers can catch a sweeter version by watching Christmas Lucky Charm. And you can purchase A Lot Like Christmas wherever you purchase your holiday reads or by using the affiliate link below. We meet her actual mentor, Buddy, and it's again all through Zoom. And I was concerned that, okay, this is all this, like I said, it's going to be a 2020. His name was Bobby in this, but it is Buddy Velastro.
Which is confusing for me personally.
But how did you feel about Buddy Velastro's involvement in the movie?
I was just so excited. Like I'm not necessarily like a Cake Boss watcher now, but in my like high school days, I was a TLC girly through and through. Like I watched all of it, including Cake Boss. So I was quite chuffed to see him appear here.
Yeah.
And in honor of this, I think I will spend $10 on a piece of cake from one of his weird vending machines next time I see it.
Yeah. Do they have those in you're in Toronto, right?
I'm in Niagara, but shockingly, they do have one at one of the outlet malls, or at least they did. Yeah. So next time I see one, I will get it. And I think they do have it in the Toronto airport too. So
okay.
Next time I see one.
I don't think they haven't. Maybe in Utah. If anybody knows, let me know. I just recently watched this one YouTuber. She does these crazy videos, and she did one on ranking every celebrity chef restaurant on the Vegas Strip. She went to every single one in like 2 weeks time, and including Buddy's. I guess he's like taken over Vegas. Like evidently his vending machine. Yeah. Yeah, but he has like multiple stores. Him and Gordon Ramsay own like 80% of Vegas.
Jeez Louise.
Yeah. So, but I like a good cake. I prefer a slice of cake over a cupcake.
Ooh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I'm picky about icing. Like I can't have it too I can't have anything too like sweet because then it hurts my head. But
yeah,
well,
it's like you get more filling on the slice of cake versus a cupcake.
That's true. That's true.
I thought about this too much.
If I find one, I will.
You report.
Yeah.
So she takes the DNA test. Again, all this was super predictable. That doesn't mean it's bad, but it was obvious kind of, where it's going and everything. But it is what it is, I guess. And so then the next day she brings her own ingredients because he had like lame ingredients. That's why her fish wasn't that good, is what she says.
Yeah, I liked that they had like a little cooking competition to see whose was the best.
Mm-hmm.
And that she was able to put forth her ideas of having kind of like a Christmas heavy
yeah.
menu. So she made lamb and some macerated berries. And I thought hers sounded pretty tasty, honestly. And he wanted scallops. And
yes.
What Christmassy is there about scallops?
Yeah,
I used to eat them every Christmas Eve before I developed an allergy.
Yeah. So they have this debate between oysters and caviar or a homemade roast. Which team would you be on? The home cooking or the fancy cooking?
I would probably in that specific instance be like home cooking because I do love a roast and I am allergic to mollusks. So I don't like oysters enough to like get into them. I haven't tried caviar, but I would. I don't think I would be allergic to those. But there's something so classic about a roast, and there's a reason it's a classic, and it's because it's good.
I would definitely be team roast.
Caviar
Caviar
is
really
filling. Like, how many oysters do you have to eat to be full, right?
Yeah, and caviar is very salty. I mean, that's the whole point, but I don't know. I didn't love it when I tried it. A lot of that fancy stuff I don't love. I haven't the few times that I've had anything either truffle flavored or with truffles I didn't love. I'm trying to think other fancy food that I was just like, I don't love it.
Oh, what is fancy?
And also usually the fancy food is like real light on the sauces. Like the sauces are usually so good, but they like use these like droplets and I'm like, I want more sauce.
Yeah, I want to dip it in. I tend to like the fancy food I like, or like the dinners we go, because like everything's so crazy right now. We tend to go for dinners that are like a little pricier because like we're not going out nearly as often. But I like classic food that I know I like, but with a twist or like super elevated or just stuff like that. So I don't tend to go for things that are like a trendy fancy.
Yeah. Well, I think that's what makes like Ina Garten's food always look so good and her cookbook's so good is because she has all that fanciness, but her food is tasty and like homemade kind of taste too. So she gets that like sweet spot, I think.
I think so. I would have to agree with that.
Like I've never seen her use a droplet thing.
Can you imagine?
No. And I mean, especially like her first 3 cookbooks, every recipe I tried was absolutely delicious and easy. And there's a photo in for every single recipe. So, I mean, I think they were outstanding cookbooks. No, she walks the talk, doesn't just as far as Food Network people. Yeah. Really good recipes. Oh, I mean, that reminds me, sort of the other show that I always watch on Food Network is I am a devotee of Beat Bobby Flay.
I mean, how could you not be?
Yeah.
How could you not be? I love Beat Bobby Flay. And my father-in-law is like an interesting fella. And he likes like 4 shows. Like he will watch Friends and Big Bang Theory on repeat, like genuinely all day, all week. And then one day, like we go over and he's watching Beat Bobby Flay. He's like, have you heard of Beat Bobby Flay? We're like, yeah, Gary, like we've heard of Beat Bobby Flay. He's a great show. We're like, okay, this is better than watching the 6 p.m. news. So we're in. But like if there's a Beat Bobby Flay marathon on, you'll catch me there from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I would love to know how much say they really get in what they're cooking. You know, if the signature dish. Because sometimes it feels like, what? That doesn't even have anything to do with your menu or anything. Or I would just be very curious. It's always exciting when a more either a pastry chef or an Asian chef is on because you know he's going to struggle with those recipes. It's like, yes, we have a chance of beating.
But he's played the game so many times that he like, even if it's different judges or he doesn't know who the judges are, like he knows how to play the game.
Yeah. And it was actually really fun. Speaking of Beat Bobby Flay and Top Chef, actually, I had on the podcast, I had Katie Lee Bagel on the podcast in August because she wrote, so this was amazing. It's funny because I interview like in the world of Hallmark these celebrities or whatever, and it doesn't even really throw me that much. Like it's super honored and I love it, but it doesn't like I don't get Twitter pated. But interviewing Katie Lee, that's got pretty starstruck.
Okay, I have to go back and find that one because I do love Katie Lee. Like,
and it was so fun to ask her
kitchen and everything. So yeah,
because she was the first host of Top Chef, and she was like, "That was a mess."
It was. Have you rewatched that recently? I about once a year I do like a full Top Chef rewatch, and it was a disaster. Yeah.
So that was fun to talk to her, and she's won quite a few times on Beat Bobby Flay. Yeah. So that is a favorite of mine. Okay, I lost my place. Where were we? Okay, yes. So this food critic had given her a terrible review because she was distracted. Her mom was in the hospital. And then she felt like this review was what caused this particular restaurant to close And so she just felt terrible. And
the owners told her that too. They said it was her fault.
Yeah. And so it was kind of nice in this one that the big bad critic, because there's nobody these movies dislike more than a critic, but there was a little redemption for the critic at the end where he was like, you actually think that was the reason it closed? It was not at all. And
I did. And of course he was British. Have you ever met a food critic who's not British?
Good point.
I like that he was like, no, you were brilliant and I can't wait to eat your food again. But and that was not your fault. Like, I get it, we all have bad days, but that one was not on you. They were already bankrupt.
Yeah. So she makes this lamb chop with chutney and she wins. And so it's a humbling moment for him. And she's pretty excited. And then they have this whole scene where she makes a cake with Buddy, which was fun. Because he's the cake boss. Of course, so that was fun. And then they play Pictionary, which I had like full on When Harry Met Sally vibes. You have you seen When Harry Met? You probably haven't.
I haven't. Okay. I know. I do need to watch that one, but I haven't gotten there yet.
Yeah, there's this really funny scene in When Harry Met Sally when they're playing Pictionary and Baby Smash Mouth. You have to see it. It's funny. And Baby Fish Mouth. And so I thought that was an enjoyable scene, the playing the Pictionary, all the friends.
But then it got ruined by like her getting an email and she's like, I actually have to take this email right now.
Yeah, she gets the DNA results.
So she goes,
she's like, I'm feeling part of the family, and so yeah, because I miss that kind of entertaining, that I still have not quite been able to kind of get it back since I would love to have like regular game nights.
Yeah, I have a hard time forcing my friends to play the games I want to play.
Yeah. Yeah, what's your favorite like tabletop game?
Oh, gosh darn it. I love Trivial Pursuit.
Oh, okay.
I like Trivial Pursuit.
Yeah. It's fun. It's hard.
And then it is hard and it makes me feel dumb, but I love it. Me and my husband we go through phases where we're like super into board games and we have quite a few. You know what one takes 5 ever is Snakes and Ladders. Like you think you're moving through it, you think you're gonna be done quick, and then you just go right down the snake and it takes an hour and a half.
We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies merch store.
Are you looking for that perfect gift for the postable, Hardy, or Hallmarky in your life?
What about getting that t-shirt or hoodie that will help you stand out at your next holiday party?
Now is the time to check out the Hallmarkies merch store.
Full of festive designs by artists like Jessica Miller, Carrie from Hallmark Comics, and more.
You can even have more than just shirts, but totes, cell phone cases, notebooks, mugs, and more.
And it isn't just Hallmark. We have designs for Anna Green Gables, Man from Snowy River, The Nanny, and more.
Every purchase at the merch store goes to help support the podcast and allows us to make the great content you know and love.
There are frequent sales, so go to tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies or see the link in the description.
That's tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies.
My favorite is a card game, not a board game. I love the game Pit. It's a really fun card game where you're pretending to be like on the stock market. And and then like on the stock market, they'll hold up
I know nothing about the stock market.
So on the stock market, the brokers will hold up their cards and say like 11111 222 whatever when they're trying to make trades and stuff. And so in the game, you have like so many cards and you want to get a full set. And so you do that. You hold up 222 333 whatever. And then so everybody's yelling, everyone's screaming, you're passing things back and forth. And then as soon as you get a full set, you say corner on the market and you win the round. And it's just really fun. I think any game that gets you yelling and screaming is a good thing in most family activities. You get that out, you get the expression out on something that does not matter at all. And then, it's good. So I really like Pit, and I really like Apples to Apples, and that one's really fun.
Oh, I do like Apples to Apples. Yeah, that's a fun one.
That's a good one. It was a fun scene, I thought. And his friends are all like teasing him, like, oh, be like this girl. which is fun. But she finds out that William is her grandfather.
I have a question. I've never done the ancestry thing or whatever, but I doubt that, like, in your email, when you open it, it has like the picture of somebody you're directly related to.
Yeah.
I feel like
it does like
that's not a
famous
thing.
people or something, you know, like I think it does like way back. It'll be like, this is so
Oh,
and so you're
interesting.
related. I've never done it either, so I don't know. But yeah, I doubt it would have somebody that's like that close, you know. It would be like you're related to so and so Earl, or
It's like your
you know,
grandfather, and here you like what? Like,
yeah,
no, I don't think
like that's
that
pretty
happens.
intense.
But
Yeah.
sure, for the sake of the movie, sure, why
Mhm.
not? And then
Yeah.
of course he walks in the door in that moment.
Yeah. And she's trying to figure out like how she's going to deal with this. And the two of the leaders of the Kringle cook-off are, she finds out, are her full siblings, Kemi and Michael. And so that adds a whole new layer to everything.
Very confusing. It was just like, okay, sure,
Yeah.
of course, but sure.
So then the next part of the movie is sort of the contest part. And this is when they're like getting along and things are like flirty. It's a little bit less fun than when they were fighting.
Well, like I think it would have been more
It
fun
was
if
fun,
it was
but
hotter.
yeah, fair.
I know I keep coming into these movies being like, what if this was just hotter? And
Yeah.
you're like, this is not how these movies work. I'm like, but what if they did?
Yeah.
And you're like, different movie.
Yeah. And I mean, he's like, you were the best part of my day. It was very sweet. And so they get to the contest and Buddy is actually there in person, which I was like, thank you. I was glad it wasn't just by Zoom. So that was nice. I liked the little scene where they were dancing in the kitchen.
Oh my god,
That was
my favorite.
cute.
That was
That
very
was
much
cute.
my favorite.
Yeah.
Was the contest before or after they had the argument outside?
No, it's before the first day of the contest.
Right,
and she says, it's the first year I've had the Christmas spirit. And then he says, you are the best part of my day. And this is after the dancing. And then they get in the fight. And so, yeah. And then he apologizes and there's sort of more competition. And I did think they actually had pretty good chemistry. I mean, I would always promote more. I don't want them to get like tawdry or something, but I would always encourage Lifetime to and Hallmark to push just a little bit. We're grown ups.
I don't need
it's
spice.
A movie about grown ups.
I don't need spice, but I need steam.
Yeah.
Right? Like let's get like you're grown ups. You're grown ups. Like let's
well, because the thing is if they had, because they have a near kiss, if they had a kiss, then it actually would have amped the stakes and made everything more tense and made everything more kind of exciting. And so that's why I always am team, almost always I'm team kiss, not near kiss.
I like that theory. Yeah.
Yeah. So she's cooking and everything. And it turns out this critic is the surprise judge who ruined her. And so she's freaking out. And overall, I would say that she was very appealing. I think this is one of her best movies that she's done for Lifetime, at least.
I thought she was fabulous.
Yeah, she was good. She was warm and had enough spunk to her, enough character. And like I said, that's why I think the enemies part of Enemies to Lovers, I think, did work a little bit better, but it was a fun journey because she was very good. Yeah.
And can you believe it? She won the contest between her,
yeah,
the one girl we saw in 2 scenes, and the 2 guys we didn't see in any scenes.
Yeah.
What a shock.
Right. And so then we have she wins. And then William invites her dad over. And then this critic compliments her and says, the restaurant didn't close because of the review or because of you. It closed because they were in crazy debt. So, and then she says, anything can happen on Christmas. And that's when at the party, there's the big adoption reveal. It all comes out. Very, Yeah. And then her
Yeah.
dad was so sweet though. And her dad, I thought that whole conversation with her dad was so sweet. And he says, I've always wanted to meet the people who created my favorite person in the whole world.
I'm not lying to you.
Adorable.
I teared up at
Yeah.
that. I was like, what is happening to me? If I'm Viola though, I'm pretty livid that my father has like gone on this whole journey to find my baby that I put up for adoption
Oh,
and
yeah.
like without telling me and then like
Right.
put her in front of my face. Like that is not something I am dealing with as quickly as she did.
Yeah. No, it's true. Viola and Rick are her actual parents. And did they say why they placed her for adoption?
Just because they were so young.
Yeah. Because she didn't seem that much younger than the other two. Or older, I guess. She would be older than Kemi and Michael. So I mean, people can have lots of reasons to place. I was wondering that watching that why she was placed and not the other two. But
not for us to know, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, there was also another movie about adoption on Up TV called Yuletide the Knot, with a adoption story on there too. Okay. So then we have the that was so sweet with her and her dad. And it says, love always finds a way to win in the end. It was cute. And there was like this cute little group hug with all the siblings. Everybody's happy. Great. We're just so happy to finally meet you, they say. And I mean, I'd be pretty stoked to find out I had like a secret sister. That'd be fun.
Who's like a great cook. Do you think the other siblings like knew that there was like an adopted child at some point, or do you think that was like fresh shock to them?
It seemed like
that they were
able
to handle super well.
Yeah, they really did. I mean, they said finally meet you, so I think they knew. And so when we find out that that when they wished on the coins, they wished to fall in love. And it says, I am falling in love with you, and I'm falling in love with you. And then we finally get our kiss.
Finally. But also I like things were wrapping up too quickly. And I like went and looked at how far I was in the movie, and there was 4 minutes left. And it was like, they haven't even kissed yet. Like, where are we?
Yeah. Yeah. There was a lot going on.
And there was a lot going on, and it was like drawn out. And then all of a sudden they were like, oh my gosh, we forgot we only have like a 90-minute runtime. Yeah. Like, let's move this along.
Yeah. But I really liked I really liked both of the leads. And I thought they had good chemistry, and I liked the enemies to lovers journey for them. I thought it was fun. And all the cooking. I'm a big sucker for food themed movies. And in fact, there's one, if I can get you to try something a little more ambitious than one of these movies. There's a movie called The Taste of Things, and it's a French movie, so it's a little, it's a little artsy. Yes. And it's,
would I have to read subtitles?
Yes, but it's not dialogue heavy. So
what's it called again?
It's called The Taste of Things. And I'm not even kidding. The first 25 minutes is just cooking. It's about these two chefs in like Downton Abbey type era. And they're like meticulous cooking and how they fall in love. And I thought it was so romantic and so beautiful. But some people, it doesn't have a ton of plot. It's light on plot, a lot of food and a lot of romance. But that sounds
great to me.
Yeah, I loved it.
I don't need it. Kissing and food, yes, please.
Yeah. So if I could convince you to try something a little heavier, just a little more ambitious than that one, I thought it was great. It was one of my favorites of the year, and it was funny because New York Film Festival, there's this whole thing called slow cinema, which is basically movies with no plot, and you're just kind of following the characters around, which can be fine. It can be good. Yeah. But New York Film Festival was like it was like the slow cinema film festival. Every movie I saw there was like, oh my gosh. There was one movie, it was actually a pretty good movie, but there was this one movie that was a guy just cleaning toilets. like he was a sanitation worker in Japan, and it was actually pretty good because it was about this every day you kind of learned a new detail about his life. But you saw him clean a lot of toilets in 2 hours. It was a lot. But yeah, every single movie I watched there was like,
it's like they're all following trends, like Lifetime's all adoption, like high cinema, all slow films.
Right. Yes. So anyway, if anybody's seen The Taste of Things, let me know what you think, because I really enjoyed it. It's got Juliette Binoche in it, and she's such a good actress. She's great. But anyway, yeah, so this one, they end with a cute group hug, and and then you have our kiss. And I would definitely see something with either of these actors again. And there were moments when William, the grandfather, it felt a little bit like it could be Hallmark or horror, is what I call, where he was just kind of looming over everything all the time. And I just kind of like, there's like a stalker element because he sent her this.
He like had this
invitation.
photo of her. He pulled out of her like a selfie from her Instagram, like.
Yeah. But in the world of these movies, I would probably give it, out of 5 crowns, I would probably give it like 4 crowns, something like that.
I think that's a fair rating.
Yeah.
Like I said, I really do think that this movie like was halted by having the adoption storyline. It would have been so much better without it.
Right.
We just focused on the stuff.
Yeah, because you could have just had it be about the competition.
Yeah,
that's fine.
There's so much meat on that bone.
Yeah.
Pun absolutely intended.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thanks so much for coming and doing this. We hope you have a super great Christmas. And if people want to follow you and all your content, how do they do that?
You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at @strong_. If you want to listen to more of my voice, I am on the Bachelor Wrap Up podcast. We are wrapping up our season soon with the ending of Golden Bachelor this week, and next week Bachelor in Paradise. But I also have a Bookstagram account at the Strong Library where I am reading a lot of these types of books where it is like the cute romance, the Hallmark movie, but in a book form. So if you like those kinds of books, follow me along on there. I've been reading quite a few Christmas ones. Some of the spicier ones, but some of the soft, less spicy ones too, if that is more your speed. So check that out.
Good. That sounds good. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all of our social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. So check that out. Also make sure that you're following the pod at Hallmarkies Pod and Hallmarkies Podcast, all of our social media. And if you are listening on iTunes, please leave your ratings and reviews. 5 stars. It really helps us a lot. Don't be one of those mean critics.
5 stars only.
If
you're a 4-star person, take it elsewhere.
That's right. And if you are watching YouTube, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. We really appreciate that so much. We also have our Patreon group, which is so much fun and a great chance to get to be part of watch-alongs. We've had Carly Smale, the writer of this very movie, on as a patron watch-along. So definitely check that out, and also check out also check out our merch store. We have lots of fun designs, so take a look at that. And thanks so much, Haley. This was so much fun, and Merry Christmas.